Hello and welcome to Hexed Encountered. My name's Joe. Today we're going to be continuing our playthrough of Armageddon War, and specifically Burning Lands, the expansion that began in the previous video. This is the third video on Armageddon War in my Flying Pig February series, or just my overall series on the game itself. So if you did not watch part one of this, I would suggest doing so because it's basically the first 7 activations of the game. This game is basically turnless. You go by unit activation. Units are activated via chit pull, etc., etc. It would be ideal to watch the first 2 videos if you're unfamiliar with how the game works, because the introduction, which plays through the complete scenario number 2 of the base game, is probably a good way to learn, the way the mechanics work and everything like that. So I am going to get right into this and just start playing with activation number 8. So we're going to start with activation 8. So here's our cup. We're going to pull a chit out. And we get Serduyakov. So that's the second in a row for them, actually. So we're going to pull our action chits out here. Wrong one. And they only had 2, I believe, that acted previously. So, all right, so the Burning Lands map, for those who may not be familiar, doesn't really have a whole lot of open terrain. There's a lot of rough, there's a lot of forest, there's some hills, etc., some ridges, some crest lines, all that stuff. So what we're going to do here is, it's always tough because you have the Russians in this scenario. Their goal is to help Al-Masawi here, which is Hezbollah. They're trying to escape. They were in the West Bank. They did some stuff. Israelis are chasing them, and they're trying to get over here. I put a map corner marker just to kind of designate the hex they need to get off map. They can only stay. They have to stay on the road. The green guys here have to stay on the road. So we have road here, and then there's kind of a dirt road, I guess, that goes along there and gets them here. So that kind of limits where they are. They're in kind of a tunnel here. And so we have to, as the Russians, you have to try to protect them, but you lose victory points if you destroy an Israeli unit. So you somewhat have to be a little bit careful about what you do. Now we have our Armada tank here. This is the only Russian tank. We can move them here and then have them attack this tank. There's 2 Merkava tanks here, but you can only attack 1 unit at a time. So they both have 1 action step, and you could do 3 damage and get, and then 4 damage points from their current state would kill the unit, would eliminate the unit. So it's a little bit risky, but the Russians also have the option to downgrade their attack. So let's see how this works. We're going to take this guy here. We're going to move him up. So he's got an 8 for movement. It costs 2 to move from this hex to this hex. And he's going to, now he's moved 2. He's going to fire. That's less than half. So you take a -1 die quality for movement and fire when it's less than half your movement factor. So he's going to fire. He's got an attack of 7, and the Merkava has a defense of 4, but it's gold on gold, so that's specialized armor. He's specialized to, just like the Armada himself is, specialized to handle an armored attack. Now, the attack, on the other hand, is not specialized. He's only got a single gold here. So 7 minus 4 is 3, but then we also have to adjust it for the fact that he's got specialized armor. Okay, so I forgot this little nuance here. Because his attack isn't specialized, the specialized armor actually doesn't do any good. It's when you get a specialized attack against specialized armor, that's when it comes in. So, because it's a regular attack, he could just be firing regular armor-piercing ammunition, according to the rulebook, which doesn't care if it's a reactive plate or not. So, It's 7 minus 4 is 3. So he's going to get 3 dice. We're going to take 1 quality away for the move and the fire. But, so that would in theory be 2 black, 1 green. But because the Russians can downgrade, they're going to downgrade and just fire 3 green. Because we have 2 strikes on the blacks. And you have a 1 strike here on the green. That's a potential 5 strikes. 4 will kill that unit and cost them a victory point. Greens only have 1 strike on 1 face. 2 faces, actually. So you get a 1/3 chance of hitting. But we also have the ability now for this guy to counterfire. He couldn't op fire because he has an action. Can't op fire, but he can counterfire. So he will counterfire, in fact. And it's the same thing. He's going to get 7 minus 4 is 3. He's got a potential 3 hits. So by now you do have 2 shields on here, but it's only on 1 face. So if they have really bad luck, they could take 6 hits and destroy themselves here from that counterfire. But we're going to try and slow these guys down because we don't want them chasing down our allies essentially and killing them. So we're going to roll. And we get 1 strike. So 1 strike does 1 damage. So I'm going to turn this to pinned. And our bottom Merkava is pinned. And our top Merkava still only has, because you can only attack 1 unit. So our top Merkava is still just 1 action. So he gets an action for doing that. He did not take any damage from counterfire. One of the benefits of the green dice rather. Okay, so that's that one's action. Now they have 2 more units, 1 here, 1 here. Honestly, I'm inclined to leave these guys alone and not take an action with them. So that's what we're going to do. So we'll move on now to activation number 9. There are 3 chits left in the cup. And we get Al-Masawi. So Al-Masawi now gets number 9 here. And they get to move. Okay, so they recover a step. So the guy on the bottom here is good to go. He's good to go, and he's going to move 3. So he's going to go 1, 2, 3. So let's just stick the green back under him here. So he's here now. He's heading for the hills here, so to speak. And this guy's yellow pinned actually gets downgraded to just a regular action, but he's stuck. He can't move from there. These 2 both were green, so they can move, but they can only move 1 at a time because we have a stacking limit of 2 at all times. So he can go 1, 2, 3, like that. And then this guy can also go 1, 2, 3, like that. They also get an action. So now things are getting a little dicey here for the Israelis. Because 3 of these guys getting there would be, I believe, if I remember correctly, the Russians get, let's see, what does it say? 3 points per Hezbollah that exits the map. So that would be 9. And they need, the Russians win if they get 6 or more victory points. So it's looking good for them right now because the Israelis, we might have to charge our tanks this way and come around, I think, from the Israeli side. So we'll look at that once we get another Israeli activation. They do have 1 chit left. The Russians have 1 chit left in the cup right now. All right, so these guys have all moved. These 2 here will lose theirs and go 1, 2, 3. Get it back. They are here now. Now you might say, well, why isn't anybody firing? I have a sniper here, but I didn't remember to move him like a dummy. If I had moved him up here, then he would have been, he has no line of sight. Oh, he has line of sight here, though. Across the hex side, because this is forest. But I don't think, actually, that's light woods. You don't have line of sight through light woods. Yeah, it blocks line of sight. So he needs to move, and then he would be able to fire at these guys. So Palsar only has 1 chit, and we already pulled it. It's here. I believe it's SAR that has 2. Yes, SAR has 2. SAR also has a Predator drone up here, which is going to bug out because it took damage or it took an action step and won't be able to recover to full. And when that happens with an aircraft, they leave. So All right, so that's those guys. Now this guy will get recovered to 2. And the other guy will get recovered to 1. And that's it for Al-Masawi. Now we'll pull our chits, and we get the other SAR. So here's SAR. They go on the 10 spot, because that's the 10th activation. So the Russians now are going to be the odd man out. It's almost like musical chairs. They're going to be the ones stuck when the music stops, and their chit won't go back into the cup. But they have plenty of other chits, and actually, no, that is their only... Let me add these up here, because there's a chit in there, but it's a logistics chit. Did I screw this up somehow? So the Russians get 2 for Serduyakov, which they've had both of those, and 1 for the 696th rifle. And somehow I put 2 for the 696th rifle. So I screwed this up. I screwed it up, and the 696th got an extra activation. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that off the board. And I guess as a penalty, I will put SAR 9, and I'm going to put the 696. The 696th rifle is going to stick as the 9th activation, since they got an extra one already. I completely screwed that up. Somehow I put too many chits in the cup, and so even though this is SAR's activation and it's actually activation 10, we're going to call it 8, and these 2 are out, so I don't need to worry about that. So the rest of these guys are all going to go back in the cup. I'm going to put all of these back in the cup here. And the way this works is you get the odd man out. So 696 is going to be odd man out. He's going to stick here. But it's SAR's move, and we're going to move SAR. So SAR is going to recover, obviously. So they recover. This guy becomes fully mobile, and his buddy underneath him gets to 1. So he's going to stick there. Now, he's got an action, so he can't op fire. Same here. So this is light woods, I believe. Yeah, so that's tracked is 2. So he's got a movement factor of 6. So he's going to go 2, 4, 6, and go here and get his action. So I'm gonna loop around. I'm gonna loop around in hopes, because he's got a range of 8. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. But I mean, I'm not so much interested in attacking him as I am interested in attacking him. But he's going to have to reactivate for that to even happen, and then he can come down maybe 1, 2, because this is clear terrain. 1, 2, 3 or something. So we only take 1 DQ on it and then attack this way. So it's going to be a little interesting, because these are obviously tanks. They're not specialized to fight infantry. These are infantry. So it takes a couple of strikes to actually make a hit. But we need to keep moving here instead of me babbling on about this. So they're stuck here. These guys will both recover. I'm going to hold on to this because they're both going to get it anyway. So they're going to go 2, 4, 6, stop here. And what they're going to do is, because they are right next to this guy, they're going to shoot at him. So we get 7 minus 4 is 3. We get an extra die for the second unit, combined fire. All right, so we moved our whole movement, so that's a minus 3 DQ. We currently have 4 dice, right? We have four dice. They all start black, but we're taking 3 DQ so that we'd have 3 green and 1 black, right? So we have 1 black, 3 green. We're close range because we're adjacent, so that's a plus 2 DQ. So these 2 will then go back to being black. So that's what we're getting. We're getting 3 dice and 3 black, 1 green. Now this guy can counterfire, and why not? So he's going to do that, and Actually, no, we lose one more. It's -3, -1 for being in woods. Forgot about that. So it's actually going to be 2 black, 2 green. 2 black, 2 green. He's counterfiring. So it's 7 -4 is 3. -1 for the woods. So it's he gets the max he can get is 2. So he can get 2 counter strikes. And we're going to roll our dice here and see what we get. And we get 4 strikes. 4 strikes, no counter strikes. That's going to be enough to knock this guy out. Because we go 1 to pinned, or 2 to shaken, 3 for the reduction, and 4 for the elimination. So this Russian tank has been killed. He's gone. He gets replaced with a wreck marker, like so. And this guy is done. His move is done. So that was beneficial, obviously. You know, he fired at him, so they kind of fired first. And now these guys are free to get, once they get their next activation, they can get out of the woods and start to come around down this way. Now, these infantry down here do have a Conkers, so they will have to be aware of that as well. Yeah, so we're going to come around the bend here, hopefully, or at least race towards their ultimate goal in hopes of, you know, preventing them from actually being able to escape. All right, so that completes SAR. So we're moving on to activation. This is officially activation 10, although it's really 11. All right, so we get SAR again. All right, so I'm going to put that on the 10 spot here. And so SAR we'll move that. And he's going to go 1, 2. His line of sight is going to go up the spine, basically. So 1, 2, 3. So from here he can't see him because its line of sight is blocked because it goes up the spine like this. And we're going to stop here. We moved half. We'll stop there and fire here. So we're in range. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He's in rough, which is going to give him some protection here. His defense is a 1, specialized, but we're not using specialized ammo. So it's 7 -1 is 6 dice. So we're starting with 6 dice. Starting with 6 black dice here. So we'll put our 6 dice out. Starting with 6. We moved half our distance, so we know half our movement allowance, so we're going to lose 2. And we're firing here. He's in the rough. The rough is a -2 as well. So it goes down to 2 more green. Range is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So it's more than half. It's regular range. So I believe that's it. His range is 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He can counterfire, so why not? It's a 4. -4 is a 0, so he's not going to. Because that would also actually give me another die in theory, but we already have 6. So, and I forgot to do that up there, which was dumb. He actually should have gotten another die, but he killed him anyway, so it doesn't matter. All right, so no counterfire, and we get only 1 hit. So that's actually a really, really good roll for the Russians. We'll put this down here. He's got his action already put on him, so we're good to go there. And oops, we will move on to this guy. So these two also lose their action marker, but they're going to get it back because we're going to keep moving. So they were here. We'll go 2, 3, 4, 5. 6. So we're going to stop there. They're going to fire at us. He's firing. 6 -4 is 2, but because of the specialized armor, so you get a bonus of 2 on your armor. So that 4 actually becomes a 6, which means it would be 0 dice, and he's not going to be able to attack. So I kind of went through all the calculations, but there ends up not being an attack anyway, because of the fact that his armor is just that good. So he can't fire at him. So that ends SAR's activation. This guy gets back to no, we already did that one. All right, so he's stuck for the moment. These two are both green, so they've got 1 action. He didn't do anything, so I don't need to mark him with anything. There was no op fire there. These guys can't fire. I think we're good. I'm going to move on. We're back to the 1 spot here on the track. And we pull Palsar out. Okay, so Palsar has been... Actually, SAR was just activated, and SAR has the Predator drone, so he's going to fly away and go home. So the drone is gone, unfortunately, for the Israelis. And so now Palsar is activated. Put him on the 1 spot there, which is off shot, I know, I'm sorry, but let me slide the camera a little bit there. You can see the edge of Palsar here, right here. And you can see these 2 units now pretty well. So that's why I did that. Our dice tower, I can slide it down a little bit. There. Okay. So it's Palsar's activation. These are the recons. These are the Humvees. So they're going to lose that. So they've got a recon with improved tow. They were here. They're wheeled. So wheeled can go... See, ideally it would have been Gideon that got activated. But it's not. But we do have our sniper here, too. So let me remove the green here from this guy, too, as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to move my sniper. It's going to move here. Okay, so he moved 1. So that's going to be a -1 DQ. We got a 2 attack and 1. So these guys really, I mean, in the book, in the rule book, it says they're basically like harassment, right? So 2 - 1 is 1. So he's only going to be able to do 1 damage. He gets -1 die quality for the move. And let me check for special rules for snipers real quick. Okay, so that's pretty much it. Now, it says that snipers can't be counterfired. So he's just going to basically get a shot with this green die against this top unit here to see if we can pin him. So we have a 1 in 3 chance, basically 2 faces have a strike on him. We get one of those 2 faces. He takes a hit. Yeah, that's it. So pretty straightforward. And we get nothing. So nothing. No damage, no harm, no foul. No harm, no foul. He's now considered revealed. I wasn't using the hidden marker. There were rules for that stuff, but because I'm playing both sides, we'll do what we do. So he's done, and we'll move on. So we have this guy up here. Now, for wheeled vehicles going through light woods, they get a minus... It costs 2. 2 for movement, but they have an 11. So an 11's pretty good. And wheeled vehicles like the trucks, like the tracked vehicles, cannot go through rough. So that these hexes here are all off limits, essentially. And we do have to worry about this conquers over here. So it's like, which way do we want to go? And that's what makes this a little bit more challenging. Well, I know I want this guy to fire at him. And you know what I could do? He's got enough movement to do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's less than half. Yeah, so he'll move up 1. And in fact... yeah, he'll move up 1. And then he's going to go around 1, 2. I think there's... Yeah, there's already 2 units in there. So he started here, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. He'll stop here so it stays less than half, because that's only a -1 DQ. You know what? Let's just do this. I'm going to move him in there. So that's 6, which would be a -2 DQ, but he gets a plus. We get 1 extra die, so it's 2 attack and 1. So we're going to get 2 dice. We're going to lose 2 DQ for the half movement, but we gain 1 back, or 2 back, for close range, so they go back to being black. And then they can counterfire back. But it takes 2 strikes to actually do damage, so I guess it really doesn't matter. So they're both green right now, and I have 2 markers there. But we're going to roll 2 black dice here, and they're not going to counterfire back. Because if they do, we would get an extra die. So they're just going to... Actually, they could retreat. Actually, they can't because they have an action step, right? Or no, they can when they only have 1 action step, I believe. Let me confirm that. Actually, they can't retreat because they're in clear terrain. You can only retreat if you're in terrain that has a defensive bonus, which they do not. So we're just going to roll 2 dice here, and we get 1 1 hit, which is still a hit, but that's not what I was hoping to see. So I'm going to flip this. Oops, that's shaken. Here, this guy on the bottom will be pinned. And this guy here will stay just regular. So that takes care of Palsar. And we're on to activation number 12 officially. And we get Serduyakov. So Serduyakov goes here. And they have 2 units left. 1 here. And 1 here. Now, this is an interesting conundrum. I think we're going to skip it. Maybe. Or let's just do this. We'll go 1, 2, 3. Put him there. This costs me an opportunity. Well, you know what? I changed my mind. I'm going to leave them because I want them free for op fire. I want them free for op fire because at some point the Israelis are going to come down this road, you would think. Because this is rough. They can't cross that. So they're going to, in theory, come down this road and then we'd be able to hit them. So we're going to sit tight for Serduyakov there. And then we pull Gideon. All right, we pulled Gideon. This is good for Israel. So we pull Gideon, and I forgot to mark Palsar guys here as being done. So let me do that. So Gideon, why did that not have a marker? I guess I removed it by mistake. All right, so we're going to take that out. And what we're going to do here is, whoops. We're going to take that out. This guy goes to none. And this one goes to... Whoops, that's not what I wanted. Goes to action. And this one goes to none. So what we're going to do here is we're going to dismount these. I'm going to leave my APC there. I'm going to dismount that, and we're going to close assault this hex with this one and this one. So yeah, so we're doing a close assault here. Okay, so close combat. We're going to go. We know all the units are infantry, so the lead unit is going to be infantry. It doesn't matter, right? So we do have, however, some. These guys, one of them is a -1 and the other one is a -2 amongst the defenders. That will affect their dice quality. So basically what we're going to say is, well, first of all, We determine the lead unit, which we already have. They're both infantry. Like I said, does not really matter. Type of combat. So rather than just say retreat and envelop, which is what you would think they would want to do because they want to destroy them, I'm going to roll for it because there are different dice quality modifiers based on it. So you could say that if it's a two-player game, they might employ some strategy in this. So I'll do the attacker first. Odds will be a push. Even will be envelop. We got an even, so they're going for the envelop. And now we'll go for the defender. Odd will be hold. Even will be retreat. And they also get an even. So it's going to be the same as before. Both sides are going to get a -2 DQ. So -2 dice qualifier. Now, in terms of the number of dice, the Israelis have 2 infantry with 3 firepower that both have a machine gun, which gives them an additional 1 firepower. So it only matters for one of them, and that's the lead unit. So it's 4-1. So they're going to get 3 dice. They're going to get an additional 1 for having a second unit. So 4 dice for the Israelis. They're going to take a -2, so it's going to be 2 green and 2 black for the Israelis. Now, Hezbollah has 2 units as well, but their firepower is only going to be a 1 plus 1 for having 2 units, so they get 2 dice, and their dice quality are both going to be green because of the -2, in addition to the -2 and the -1 for their current state. So it's going to be 4 for the Israelis, 2 for Hezbollah. I'm going to roll. We'll roll here the Israelis first. We've got 3 hits. So 3 hits. That's going to do some damage, but we'll apply that here in a second. Now we'll do Hezbollah. They get 1 hit. Okay, so 1 hit. Now, because it was an envelopment, they have to actually eliminate the units, which isn't going to happen with only 3 hits. So let me move these guys back out because they're not going to take it. And they're going to get, the lead unit will be pinned. So I'm just going to put him, we'll do this, we'll put that there and underneath this guy. And then, and I should have done, what I should have done is fired on them first, but hindsight is 2020. So that Gideon is going to stay, and the other infantry. What did I put under there? The machine gun. Yeah. So that goes there. That goes on top. These guys go over here. All right. So they get an action. They get an action and a hit. So they're at a -2. And the namer actually has none. So I'm just going to stick that off to the side a little bit, and I'll have to remember that. Now these guys, we have to apply 3 hits. So the lead unit, we'll say that the 1 was the lead unit. So he's going to get 1 automatically to go to pinned. So that's just for being the lead unit. Then he's going to get, we have 3 hits to apply, and we apply them evenly, and we start with the lead unit. So he's actually going to go to shake, and that'll be the first hit. This guy will also go to shake, and that'll be the hit for him. So they're both shaken, but the lead unit actually ends up being reduced as well. So we have a reduced and a full power, or full strength rather, but they're both shaken now. So again, not what we were hoping to get, but that's going to be the end of Gideon's turn, except it really isn't, because we do have these guys right here. The only problem is, how do they get to that unit? They're going to fire across the hex side here. So we're going to fire along the hex side at this unit, and we're going to combine fire with the two APCs here. So that'll give us 2 additional dice. It's 3-1. And yeah, it's 3-1. Actually, there are 3 additional units. So that's going to be 2, and so that we're going to have 5 dice. They didn't move. It's not close range, although these guys would be close range. So maybe, yeah, maybe we should have the namer be the lead unit on the attack, because the firepower is the same. So we'll do that. The namer is firing close range, so we're going to get a bonus for that. Then we'll have the second namer and these guys join in, so we're going to get a +2. That's 2 plus 2 is 4 dice. And actually there's 3 units here because there's the third namer there. So it's +3. It's 2 plus 3, 5 dice. We get +2 dice quality for the close fire. Nobody moved, so we're not taking any negatives. So with 5 dice, we're going to have 3 black, 2 red. 3 black, 2 red. Now they can fire back. They might as well. The problem is this is an armored unit, so they're going to need, and it's got a lower, yeah, that's why we use the namer. So they're not even going to really be able to get any dice on the return fire. It doesn't matter which one we attack. They're both in the same situation, but we'll attack the full strength one because if I can get 2 hits on him, he's eliminated. So we're going to attack the full strength guy. He's the one on top. And I dropped one of the dice, so I'll have to roll that one again. But we got more than enough hits. We got 4 hits. So he's going to be eliminated. And now this guy has an action. So we'll put an action under him. Actually, you know what? I think the namer here had an action already. Well, no, maybe not. Maybe not. But they all have actions now. So everybody has an action. We've eliminated one of the units. And so there's one there who's got only 1. He's already reduced. But that's going to end that activation. And we'll move on to activation number 14 here in a moment. As soon as I put get all my dice off the board here. I like my board clean. All right, so moving on. We're going to do our next activation. This is activation number 14. And we get SAR. So another Israeli. So SAR is going to lose all their action stuff here. All right, first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to close assault this with this. So he's going to come right in here and a close assault. And so firepower 7. They have a 1. So that's going to be 6 dice. Because he doesn't get the bonus armor because it's not specialized on specialized. And vice versa when we fire back, although if he uses the Conquers, he would. And he probably will use the Conquers, I would think. So 6 dice for the attacker. The terrain is the same, so those modifiers will actually cancel out. Because light woods is a -1 on the DQ. But we have to apply them anyway. So we're going to have 5 black and 1 green on the attacker side. And on the defender side, they have a 6. 4 and 6 is 10. We might need to have that, though, because of the number of hits. So let's just say 8 minus 4 is 4, so they get 4 die, and they'll lose 1 die quality. So they're going to have 3 black and 1 green, I guess. We have to decide the tactics. So again, we'll roll for this. Same as before, odds and evens. So even, that's envelop. And for the defender, odd is hold. So an envelop and hold is going to be attacker 2 plus 2 and defender plus 2. So this green will go back to being black. And one of the blacks will become red for the attacker. So let's roll that first. And that's not great, only 3 hits. Only 3 hits, so that's not great. So they're going to end up back here, and they're going to, at best, have an action. At best. Now we'll roll for the defender. So they have 3 black. They have 4 black, actually, right? No, 3 black and 1 red. That's what it is. And they get 3 hits as well. So that's going to actually end up reducing him as well as giving him a shaken. So that was kind of a costly assault. And they had 3 hits as well. So they get reduced. And they're shaken. So that takes care of that one. And now we'll move over here. Maybe we fire and move. How about that? So that's what we're going to do. We're going to fire on here. So the range is 8. So we know it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 7. And we're going to attack the BMP because it's armored. It's got an armor of 1. So that's going to be a 6. They can counterfire. But the Conkers, yeah, they can use the Conkers actually. So they're going to use the Conkers to fire back. It's a 6 with a 4. But it's going to cancel out because it's the +2. So that's going to be a 0. So they're not going to use the Conkers. They'll just use their basically they can't fire back because it's only a 4. And he's got a 4 armor. So, yeah, he's got no dice basically. So we're going to take a shot here. 6 dice. He didn't move. So it's just going to be 6 black dice. Minus the terrain. He's in forest, light woods. Gets a -1. So 5 black, 1 green. And we get 3 strikes. So 3 strikes on here. That's weird. Why are these guys 4 at red and this one's not? They're the same unit. Is this a misprint that it's black? These guys are red. I don't know. Anyway, that's one of these 2. Oh, that one's black as well. So we have 2 red and 2 black. Well, we use the red one. They have red as well because so the whole thing is shaken because the rifle squad was actually inside the vehicle. So let's see. Let's have this guy attack this one. Let's put a green on here. So we're going to put a green on here, and we're going to move this guy 1. And we'll put him here. So that's a movement of 2. And he also gets an action for that. So he's there now. So we're trying to set up a last line of defense here. Tank's not the best, but it is what we've got over there. I could try to race my recon units over here now that these... well, I'd have to go around, I guess. So, it's going to be probably a close run thing, but we're going to have this guy fire here. So again, it's 6. It's an advantage of 6. The distance is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. But again, it's a 4 firepower against a 4 armor. No dice. So he's in the rough, though, which gives it a -2 DQ. So we're going to get 6 black die, but to start with, but 2 of them will turn green. So it's 4 black, 2 green. The tech, it evens out. They're not at long range or short range, so no bonus there. We get 2, 3, 4, 5 strikes. That's going to kill this unit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, he's dead. So he's dead as well. And that took care of that. So we'll put this here. This can actually get turned to the side so it matches everybody else. And that does it for SAR. We move on to activation 15. Serduyakov. Okay, so Serduyakov has 1, 2 units left. Now, I kind of feel like they need to maybe try to take on some of this armor because we've got 3 tanks out here, right? So let's take now we can't use the Conkers if we move, but we can move to get close enough to actually shoot at them at least, because his firepower is a 5. So if we go 1, that's 2, 4, 6, right? Lightwoods is 2 movement. Yep, 2 movement for tracked. So that's as far as he can go, but he can shoot up the hex side and hit this guy. So he can't use the Conkers to do it, however. So it's a 5 minus 4 is 1. He's going to have 1 green die to roll here. Now you would take typically 3 DQs, but because there's only 1 die, you can only go down to green anyway. And 2 shields. And I guess he could have counterfired. I didn't call it, so we'll let it slide. I should have said counterfire, which would have been 2 hits on him. You know what? I'm going to apply it because he would have done that. He would have been paying attention, I would think. So he's going to get actually a shaken. So he's going to be shaken. And then this guy can go 2, 4. He can pull in here as well. So why not? He'll go there, and then he'll also take a shot. Same thing. We can again do counterfire. It's going to be the same exact setup. And he gets a hit. So he gets he's green. Let me turn him up like so. So he's green. This guy is now going to be pinned. All right, so that ends Serduyakov's activation because everybody else is 696 rifle. So we've got 2 Al-Masawis in here. We know that's what we're getting, and indeed it is. So Al-Masawi now gets an activation. So this guy is good to go. These guys. So 1, 2, 3. They can't op fire because they already fired. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. And 1. Yeah, he can't op fire either. 2, 3. This guy goes to a 2. So he's just pinned. And that ends there. So now they get another activation. I'm not going to put markers down because they're going to get activated again. So this will get flipped to green. Now we have to pull all these off and put them back in the cup. And we'll move again. 1, 2, 3. They'll be here. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All right. Obviously, I didn't plan this out real well. So, do this. Activation time. This is activation number 18 out of a possible 30. And we get Serduyakov. And so, let's see. So we're going to take this guy, and he's going to get full action again. And these guys will reduce to pinned. So we have our BMP here. He's going to fire at this guy, the SAR. So it's 5 minus 4 is 1. So he's only got 1 die. He's only got 1 die. They can counterfire. They're going to take a -2 on the hits. So 7 minus 3 is 4. So they can get as much as they get 2 hits. They're going to voluntarily take a green die. You know, just to try. Their main thing is to just hinder this guy. Obviously, the Russians lose a victory point if they were to kill it. So they're going to take a shot at making him shaken, which pushes them pushes them further from being able to be activated. So yeah, we're going to roll 1 green die. We get a hit. So success. So that he takes no damage, but does get his action back. So he gets that. And this guy goes to shaken. Actually, they would have been a green die anyway because of the tech difference. So that's that. And so that's all they have really. So I'm going to move on. Activation 19 is SAR. So it's lucky that this came out in this order from the Russian standpoint. So this now goes back to being pinned. Okay, so a situation, we got this guy here, he's reduced and he's at a 2, so he's pinned. He's pinned. These two guys are available to do some things, so they're going to do that. So we do have here a situation where we've got this guy here, and he's close enough that he can basically fire at this guy and see if we can shake him up. Or he could also fire at these two, or one of these two. I mean, it's 6 of one, half a dozen of another, basically. So essentially, he's going to fire here, and he's going to fire here, most likely. I may change the way in which I do that a little bit, but we need to, I mean, their goal is here. Their goal is here, so they would actually have to close assault him to get to it now at this point, but they can do that. So I'm going to start here. We've got a 7. Now his primary is obviously AP, but we're going to use the red starburst, so it's secondary fire. So it's 6 dice, but we're going to take a modifier. Well, not really a modifier, but it's going to take 2 hits, or 2 strikes rather, to make a hit. So 6 dice. The tech level's the same. The cover is there is no cover, basically. It's clear road. So it's just 6 dice. They can counterfire, but it won't be effective because their firepower is a 2 and his armor is a 4. So we're going to take 6 dice here. And just to go through the firing sequence here on our thing, I mean, I know you start with black dice equal to firepower, right? And then if units combine fire, we don't have that. Target chooses to counterfire, they can't. Total situational modifiers. It doesn't, we don't really have, roll the dice. Each starburst is a strike. Primary versus defense is 1 hit per strike. Secondary is 1 hit per 2 strikes. So that's the situation we're in. And then counterfire, and then we apply the action step. So it's pretty straightforward. We're rolling 6 black. His range is 8. He's 2 hexes away. So that's less than half. So actually he's going to get a +2 DQ on this one, which gives him 2 red. So it's 4 black, 2 red. And there's going to be a bunch of hits here. We've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 hits. So he's going to kill this guy. So he's gone. 5 hits is the exact number you need to kill a unit that has no action markers on it. He actually had one. So he's dead. He goes to, let me use one that has a pinned on the back just in case I have to flip it. So he's here. All right, so the same thing here, 1, 2, 3, 4. That's half. So again, we can fire, and he's got a tech advantage as well. So we're going to hit this guy. And so yeah, 1, 2, 3, 4. 7 minus 1 is 6. So it's 6 again. So basically the math is the same, except we get the tech advantage this time because he's got the red lightning bolt and he's got a black lightning bolt. And what that means in this case is they get an extra red die for the tech advantage. So, and again, they can't counterfire. He's out of range for one thing, and he was also out of range here, and I didn't even really equate that. Yeah, it was here, but okay, here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 hits. You are way dead. Okay. So that takes another one off the board. No wreck marker because these aren't vehicles. And I think I may have forgotten to put some wrecks down in some other places. I know I did. And I'm trying to remember where I killed some units that would have gotten a wreck marker. But yeah, I guess it's not that big of a deal. So Israel looks like they're in a pretty good situation. We're going to go now to activation number 20. And we get Al-Masawi. So Al-Masawi at number 20. So they have 5 units left. All of them are able to move. And so he's going to go 1. None of these guys can fire because they all have an action step. 1, 2, 3. Now I'll save this one for last because we're gonna have a close combat. 1, 2, 3. And as I mentioned, we're gonna have let me mark these guys first before I do this. These guys are gonna go 1, 2, 3. So they're gonna attack. So this is an attack. Infantry on a tank, an armored tank platoon. So infantry always gets 1 die in a close assault. So they're going to get 1 die. They're going to get a second die for the second unit. And the tank the tank, on the other hand, will get 6 dice. So this is likely going to be kind of bad for the Hezbollah, but they don't really have a choice. They need to, I guess they do have a choice, but the only way they're going to move that tank platoon is to assault it because they have to, essentially. They're not getting here because they can't leave the road. They can't leave the road. They have to assault the tank that's sitting in the road. So they get 1 die. And so they're coming from cultivated and going into cultivated as well. So both sides have cultivated, which has a -1 DQ for infantry. So that'll affect the tank's attack. So they're going to start at 6 green, and they're going to lose 1. They're going to start at 6 black rather, and they're going to drop 1 to 1 green. The first thing we need to do is determine our strategies here. So this time Al-Masawi is the offensive side. So let me grab my 6-sider here. A 4 is envelop for the offense, and a 1 is hold for the defense. So that's kind of probably what they would have actually wanted to choose anyway. So envelop versus hold, if I remember correctly, I need to change here. Envelop versus hold is a +1 for the attacker in DQ, so this is going to go back to black, and a +0 for the defender. So they're going to get, so infantry, just so that we're clear, infantry needs 2 strikes to get 1 hit. So they have 2 dice. Oh, so they do get, it says infantry leading units are assumed to have the same attack type as the defender's shield color. For instance, infantry attacking a vehicle counts as the same primary attack color as the vehicle shield color. 1 strike equals 1 hit. So that's good for them. So they're going to have 2 dice. So they don't get any bonus on the attacker side. They don't get a tech bonus. The lead attacker compares the terrain. If there is a difference, the side with the better defensive terrain gets. Okay, so they don't get a bonus for the terrain. Neither side does. So they're going to stay. They're going to stay with 1 green on the Israeli side, and they're going to get 2 black on the attacker side. So let's roll for the attacker first, and they get 2 hits. So that's good for them. 2 hits will make that tank shaken. It's not going to win the close combat, and they're going to end up back here anyway. So now we'll roll for the tank. And oh boy, they got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits. 7 hits. So first of all, let's start this. We know this guy is shaken. We know he's shaken. So we're just going to drop a shaken on him. Actually, he's shaken and reduced because you get one action point for being involved. So he was actually going from pinned and then the 3 hits. Or 2 hits, rather. Wait, let me think about that. Pinned, 2, yeah, 1, 2. Yep, so he's reduced. Now, the lead unit will automatically get 1 action point for being the lead unit. So the top guy, let's just say he's the one because they're the same. So he's going to get an action right away. So that's 1, and then we have to add up the 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hits. So the lead one also takes the first hit. That would make him pinned. And then we apply evenly the other 6. So that's 3 additional. So he's going to be eliminated. We know one's going to be eliminated. And then the other one is going to take 3 hits. So he's going to be shaken. And that ends SAR's activation. So let me take my dice out of here. And we move on to activation 21. And it's SAR. Okay, so they draw an activation again. And so he's going to go to 2. Obviously, you can regain more than one action step. In this case, he really can't, because it's all about if you're within range of a unit. Actually, maybe he would gain 2, because this guy can't fire at him. So actually, yes, and I have not been doing this correctly, most likely. If they cannot be fired on, even if they're visible, line of sight, then they can recover 2. So he's going to actually go to 1. So he goes from shaken to just 1 action point. And so he recovers 1. And he's out of range there. And these guys can't fire at them either. So he actually gains 2 back. And that's it, right? Oh, and this guy over here. Yeah, nobody can fire at him either, so he's going to gain 2 back. Okay, so now let's move some guys and wreak some havoc here, right? So we'll take this guy, and he's going to fire 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to move 1. Yeah, I want to move here, I think. So that'll be a -1 DQ. He's going to attack here. So we're going to start with 6 black. We'll take 1 minus DQ for having moved, but less than half our movement, because we only moved 1. Then we get a less than half. 1, 2, 3, 4. Less than half of our range, so he gets a +2 DQ. So now it's 5 black and 1 red. They can't fire back; they're out of range. We get 1, 2, 3. We get 6 hits. So 6 hits will kill this unit. Because you can only attack 1 unit. We can't hit both of them in the same hex. So he's going to get an action. Now this guy here will go 1, 2. Still less than half movement. He's going to attack this guy. It's close range, obviously. So we're going to actually end up with the same dice. So we're just going to re-roll it here. And we get 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 hits is definitely enough to kill this guy as well. So Hezbollah is getting shredded here, basically. Okay, and that's it. That's it for SAR. Oh, there's this guy over here. I guess he can go maybe 2, 4, 5. Put him here. So he'll get a minus. He's going to fire on this guy. He's going to get a -2 DQ. And then a +2 DQ for the distance being close range. So he's going to get 5 black die. Now he can be fired back on, but it's a 1 firepower, even though the range is 2. So that's not going to do any good. So we're just going to roll our 5 black dice here. 2, 3, 4, 5. So he's dead. So it looks like Israel is going to win this scenario. In fact, they are going to win this scenario because the Russians can't get to 6 victory points now that all of the Al-Masawi, they're down to 1 unit. They're down to 1 unit, and that's 3 victory points. And if they don't get 6, they don't win. And if the Russians don't win, the Israelis do. So that's actually going to wrap this up. I don't really think I need to do any more because the video's been, long, obviously. So that will wrap this up. As always, thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. Hopefully you got something out of it. Like I always say, and that's the truth. I want you guys to enjoy this, and get something out of it, even though I mess up occasionally. But yeah, at least get an idea of how the game works. So, if you would be kind enough to consider liking, sharing, and or subscribing, if you are a subscriber, ring the old bell, all that good stuff. That would be most appreciated. As always, thank you for helping support my channel. I really do appreciate that. Until next time, my name's Joe. This has been Hexed Encountered. And as always, happy gaming.